you have to get into that to become effective at it.
So I know this is kind of general, but what are some of the things you're hoping to see Saturday?
Well, look, as a coach, you want to see some clean execution. You don't want to see a lot of penalties or sloppy penalties. The basic fundamentals of the game. You want to see pad level where it should be. Now that typically in the first preseason game at times can be a big alert. You want to see the blocking and tackling that you've been coaching. So really the fundamentals that are necessary to play this game well, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
I think early in camp you said it's hard to kind of get a feel for the linebackers until like pads come on and they start hitting. Have you gotten to see a little bit more of it?
Yeah, look, I like the depth at that position, and I think two reasons. I think first off defensively, second off I think it's going to help us in the kicking game. We've got some athletic bodies, guys that can run, guys that are smart, and so I'm encouraged with that.
And I feel like we see like Bond, kind of make a play or two in practice, but is he doing like the smaller stuff you want to see out of him too?
Yeah, look, he's having a good camp. He's having a good camp, and a few of these guys, Caden's having a good camp. The young player is out now, for a day or two, but that group in general, though, I've been encouraged with, and it'll be good to see these guys playing the game.
How would you describe the significance, if any, of which quarterback does the first series, and do you have any kind of plan?
We'll have a plan. Look, they'll both play in this first game, and they'll both play the following week. We'll flip them, and we'll kind of go from there. We'll go through that as a staff tonight. All the roles. There'll be a few guys maybe that we don't play, and then we typically we divide it into about 3 phases. Phase 1, we might want to see about 18 to 22 snaps. In phase 2, maybe a similar amount, and then somewhere in that later third quarter, phase 3. Now we're not necessarily 100% relative to the roster, so there's going to be some guys play a little bit more than just 18 snaps, but I don't want to see guys north of 29 snaps generally. Special teams will be first half, second half, with specialists, and we'll go through all of that. How we come out of the tunnel and warm up. It's a first for a lot of these guys. How we act on the sideline, what we do, what we don't do on the sideline. We're never given an interview during a game on our bench area ever. Whoever's out there, it's important for.
Sean, you've said this a few times about this turnover every year, and that this year may not necessarily. But this is the first year you're heading into preseason where Drew would play very few snaps. Who's ever going to be your starting quarterback is going to probably get a decent amount of snaps. Is this a different for you?
Well, when you go back in 06, 07, 08, 09, Breeze was in that first phase. Probably, I'm trying to think of the first preseason maybe but it would have been 11 on. So in those first 4, 5, 6 years, he was out there with Jari Evans, with Stinchcomb, with whoever the run. They were all out there. He, at that point, he was young and I do it the same way. I mean, there's different philosophies on that, but we got to practice the game, and it's a physical game. But then, after a while, then we began to adjust that, just like we're going to adjust it with maybe a guy like Cam Jordan or a guy like Malcolm Jenkins. You're just looking at your experience, and those older players, you don't need to see it every day, but you still need to see it. And so I think it kind of fits into what we've done, but it just seems like it's been so long since. But there was a time for all the way. He was in phase 1.
Has this camp though felt any different for you because of that position?
Sure. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, because it's been a lot more defined, and look, in a perfect world, you'd prefer it to be defined and established, and yet it's not. And the mistake would be to try to maybe and make a mistake there. The most important thing is that we get the right 53 and that we get the right vision and lineups for our team as we move forward. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Sean, you talked about
Payton Turner.
just that.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could Payton Turner and Pete Werner play in this game Saturday, or is that?
We'll see. No, I'm not ruling those guys in or out. We'll see how they feel today, and you know, we don't see them being long-term injuries. So you know, I'm anxious to hear the trainers report today.
You just referenced new players and how you do it on the sideline and things like that. You had so many veteran players here. Not that you change your expectations, but do you change how you maybe evaluate how people act during the game and do things during the game? Or do they have to change for you?
They have to change. I don't want players sitting on their helmet with both ear pads sticking out the ear holes. You know, I don't want players sitting on their helmets. I don't want an in-game interview on the sideline while someone's playing. You know, and so there's some attention to detail, and it's kind of been consistent going all the way back, and that doesn't mean that's exactly right for every club. That's what we believe. And these snaps are really important. Now, they may not be important in the second half for a certain veteran player, but they're very important for someone else. And you know, you want your team into it, paying attention, focused. You know, there's in every game there's these learning moments, and so yeah, there's certain things that we expect.
When you're kind of breaking down the plan for Saturday and beyond in the preseason, you're going to be splitting snaps, quarterbacks. How do you communicate that to both guys at the same time? Is that like different conversations they're going to have? How do you?
Together. I mean, they're in meetings together. They go to the quarterback meeting together, and you know, Pete and Ronald and myself. Hey, this is the plan for this week. Here we go. Let's get ready. Next week, we do that with every position. You know, these players tonight and tomorrow are going to have a clear vision as to how many plays, how long, and what group. And that's the first thing you want in a preseason game is organization, not clutter. You know, you want 11 guys on the field. You want everyone to be on the same page. You don't want substitution problems. You don't want center quarterback exchange problems. You wanted, you know, the fundamentals of just being able to get started in the right direction. I think, and so for us as coaches, it's you know, giving clarity to that as best we can.
Did the team end up getting a presentation from officials last night?
Last night.
Any highlights or takeaways?
No, I think I'm sure at some point you guys usually get one, either a Zoom or something. And look, there's a handful of rule changes. There's some points of emphasis. You know, I've read already, you know, where unsportsmanlike conduct will be a point of emphasis that, you know, going forward. You know, there's some adjusted rules relative to when you can cut a player and when you can't cut a player. And so any low blocks are going to have to happen inside the not the tackle box, but one more space, the tight end box, 5 yards either way. And so, you know, a receiver can't go downfield and cut a safety. And flip side, you know, when a tackle's pulling and a corner is going to support the run, he can't go low. And so all of these are to reduce the head and neck injury challenges that we see statistically. And then there's a couple, you know, officiating mechanics relative to replay. But yeah, the presentation was last night, and it's pretty normal. This crew, you know, we read the bio of all these guys. This is a very experienced group, probably as experienced as group of officials that we've had in my 15 years. I mean, a lot of playoffs with this crew, a lot of experience with this crew, and they've been really helpful.
Sean, holding calls were down dramatically around the league last year.
Yeah, we saw that as a committee.
Yeah.
And
point of emphasis, or is that...
well, it's a good question. We saw it, and we spent time on it. It's one of the, you know, there's a few fouls that are harder to call consistently. That's one of them, you know. I mean, you could find offensive holding if you were looking for it on a lot of plays. What do we want called? What don't we want called? I would expect that number to be a little bit north of where it was last year. It was unusually low.
When you get to phase 3, do you try and keep a couple of older players in there just for continuity's sake?
Well, sometimes it's you have to, but we haven't purposely like left the veteran in. You know, these guys got to be able to function just like they're out here. They're going to make some mistakes. We'll correct it on film, but you know, make them going fast. And so in some areas we're a little thin, like every team is, and some guys might play a little bit more. But yeah, that's about it.
What's been your thoughts so far on kind of the competition and energy at the forcing turnovers? It seems like the linebackers in particular have really been getting after it. Like, do you like the hustle there, like where it's at?
Yeah,
or
look,
is
it's got to be. We were good at it last year. You know, we put up the top 10 teams in the takeaway differential. So there's a formula. You look at how many you gave and how many you took away, and you know, we were one of those, I think, 4th or 5th. Every team in that top 10 except one was a postseason team. And then when you went down into the bottom 10, and everyone who was picking early in this draft, every one of those teams except one was in the minus column noticeably. And it's still that one statistic. You know, it's regardless of how you play, it's the one statistic that can, you know, if you win that statistic, you may not play your best game, but it kind of is the spaghetti sauce that makes the game taste good. You know, it generally does end up predicting the winner. So you can play well and turn the ball over, and you'll lose a number of those games, and yet the tape looks good. So that has to be something that we're coaching, and then we're thinking about, and then we're effectively executing in all three areas.
When you look at those turnovers, some of that is randomness, right? But there's,
yeah,
like some of it's.
No,
it's
there's
also
times
like
where, hey, you know, the ball gets tipped, you know, but there's only so much randomness,
yeah.
you know, and when running backs are wearing sleeves. Doug has a button, and after the
That's the Sean's had enough button.
after the 15th question, there's
That's
always
a Sean's tired.
there's always lightning in the area here, right?
That's not quite.
That was literally the 15th question. So.
Seriously?
It's lunchtime.
Like, you're good at this now. Man.
Well, look, no one. I mean, we, like so many teams, have installed the same system golf courses have now, where we don't get into trying to predict. It just tells us 6 miles, and so that way we've kind of taken it. There's no gray area. That's why we weren't out earlier. They were still, you know, a threat. But back, you know, years ago, you were just kind of saying, hey, it looks like we got to better go inside. Now it's a little bit more scientific.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
got to be a fine when rookie being at the podium.
Very good. Yep. Well, what is sort of your mindset at camp? Do you, even after being here for a while now, still perpetually feel like you're fighting for a spot, or do you relax at some point and just play? Like, what is your mindset at camp?
I would say I'm never relaxed. Every year you're fighting for a spot. Those backup spots, there's never any certainty in it. So I come in every year fighting for my position, and that's just the life of it, NFL backup offensive lineman.
How ready are you for the preseason, the next phase, or along those same lines?
I feel like I'm pretty prepared. I feel like I've done pretty well to this point. Kind of moving all around. Started at center, then this past week I've moved to a couple guard spots. So just excited to be able to put into game speed and see how I do.
Does it change anything?
Are you more comfortable at either one?
I've always played every position. I mean, every week they're going to change me. That's just kind of my deal. If I'm going to make the squad, I got to show I can play left guard, center, and right guard, and just so I can be versatile throughout the season.
Jumbo too.
Yeah, always ready for that too.
Does it make it different for you? Without, I mean, when Drew was there, you kind of knew what to expect. Now you've kind of got quarterbacks figuring out what to do and how to do it. Does that change anything for you, or do you kind of do your thing no matter what?
I would say my thing kind of stays the same, but those quarterbacks, not much has changed. A little bit different responsibility-wise, but those guys, they studied Drew so hard and watched him how he prepared that we can't really tell much of a difference. So those guys are so sharp and handle their job so well. It's been easy on us.
Is there a difference when Taysom is in from a takeoff standpoint? Like with Drew, you weren't going to be blocking down. You weren't going to take off running. Is it different in pass protection with Taysom, with a guy who literally could take off at any point?
Yeah, I would say when Taysom's in, you definitely have to be aware that he can take off and run, he can make plays. So I guess in an offense lineman's internal clock, you think, hey, 3-4 seconds, ball's probably out. With Taysom, it could be 3-4 seconds, and he's maybe making a play 20-30 yards downfield or on a run. So yeah, I mean we do think in terms of that, but having had that ability is a huge help to our offense, and it honestly makes an offensive lineman's life easier.
Has the novelty, like with friends and family, worn off? Like, I mean, your parents probably know as much about the Saints as you do, but they're fans and they follow it. Whereas if you're playing for like the Seahawks, they may not know as much. I mean, or is that just kind of a job now? Is it still kind of a novelty in your hometown?
I would say my family still really enjoys, just me being here. Obviously, they love, that I'm still in town, and they can just come down the street and watch practice. But yes, I would say it's not like my rookie year where the whole family's coming in every day trying to watch me practice. It's kind of calmed down a little bit.
Is that good?
Yes, definitely good.
Moving around as much as you have, I assume you've gone against a lot of these guys who are competing at defensive tackle. What are you seeing from that group? Because there's a lot of fluidity in that depth chart.
Yeah, those guys, they're having good camps. Malcolm Roach, he's always been a strong player. Just real natural power. Jalen Dalton, super long, super powerful. I think he's going to turn some heads in preseason. And Shai Tuttle, he's always been a great player. I feel like Shai is one of the more underrated defense linemen on our team.
Give me Roach has done a lot of good things at camp. Give me your review as a guy trying to block him, what he does well.
Yeah, so Roach, he's one of those guys that just has this real natural power. He's a shorter guy, so he has natural leverage on you. And when he gets going, you can't give him space because he gets 2-3 steps, all of a sudden he's bringing his full weight into you. And he can push the pocket really easy and when he gets that power going. So, with him, that low center of gravity, he gets that power going. All of a sudden he's quick enough just to hit you with a club and bring you the other way. And I think he'll have a good preseason.
All right. Thanks.
Well done.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, I want to follow up.
What's up, man?
What up? What it do?
Chill.
How y'all doing?
How much are you looking forward to Saturday night, getting a chance in a game, you know, a preseason game? But I mean, you gotta imagine you're looking forward to it, huh?
Oh, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Just since the last game I played was November, you know what I'm saying? Playing against, you know what I'm saying, real competition, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing different people out there, you know what I'm saying, how much they've been working. So it should be fun, exciting, and I can't wait for it, to be honest with you.
Do you have to kind of, I mean, obviously you want to just use and play, but it's your first time game experience with this team, how they do things and what they do. Do you also have to be cognizant and pay attention to that?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely just sticking with what you learn here, you know what I'm saying, transferring that to the game is going to be a big part of, you know what I'm saying, being successful on the field, you know what I'm saying, just taking what they taught you here, applying it to the field, and, you know what I'm saying, that's what you got to do to win, so we're gonna see how that works out.
What's been the biggest adjustment going from college to the NFL?
Detail, definitely detail, and you know what I'm saying, where you got to line up, you know what I'm saying, you got to pretty much know everything, not just from your position, but from the man next to you, whether it's the tackle, another receiver, the man across from you, him over here, so you got to know all their jobs and their responsibilities for you to do your job, and you know what I'm saying, it just takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, a lot of experience, and that's what I'm working to now.
Is that coming so far?
Oh yes, sir. I learn every day, especially with CJ. Hey, he gonna tell you it all, man. So trying to soak everything in like a sponge and apply it as I go.
How do you grade what you've done so far in this camp? Are you satisfied with what you've done?
Definitely satisfied, but can definitely have a lot to grow. I give myself a B because I'm definitely not perfect. You know what I'm saying? But from what I've been to where I am now, it's this much of a difference. So I still expect to grow exponentially.
And you mean on the mental side, right?
Oh, mental, yes, for sure.
What are some of those ways that you felt that you have grown in the past 2 weeks or whatever, how long we've been here?
Just, you know what I'm saying, like I said, just learning it like from the playbooks and, you know what I'm saying, just my assignments where I line up, you know what I'm saying, just, we call it mentals, like on the field, you know, not knowing what your assignments or whatever, you can mess up everything else about the play. So just, you know what I'm saying, getting the plays down packed from the huddle. Like before, I ain't gonna lie to you, like I couldn't even recognize the play out the huddle from the quarterback saying it, but now it's just, it's a clockwork now.
You find yourself playing freer every day?
Yes, definitely. You know what I'm saying, that's what I try to strive for every day, just going out there being as comfortable as I am, you know what I'm saying, that's what's going to be, that's going to make me more successful, you know what I'm saying, not playing like a robot and think about everything or whatever, just knowing what to do and doing it.
Are you 100% there yet? Or where you were like last year in college, or are you still like maybe 80% of the way there?
I'm definitely still learning, got some things here and there to learn, so still learning it for sure, but definitely you'll get there.
Is it more on the mental side than maybe you realized when you got drafted, or did you expect this?
It's a little bit more than I thought, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely on the mental side from, just the playbook, you know what I'm saying? We got something about this big, and I was like, what? I said, what is this? You feel me? so that's where it started all, and I'm still learning it.
How big was the college playbook if this one is this big?
College playbook, man, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, but that jump was like, yeah, you just, okay, you good. But then I was like, I gotta really put a book bag on, like.
Is there a kinship in your group that so many of you guys were either undrafted, drafted low? Like, I mean, a real recognition that you guys are all kind of came from the same place?
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying, just getting it from the bottom, you know what I'm saying, working our way up, just working with CJ and, you know what I'm saying, just relating to each other. You know what I'm saying, yeah, we've been here before, you know what I'm saying, they just putting knowledge on us, and you know what I'm saying, because we was definitely where they was at right now, so they just, you know what I'm saying, encouraging us, teaching us how to get to their position, and you know what I'm saying, them learning still, because we all still young in the room, so, you know what I'm saying, them trying to get to the next level of, you know what I'm saying, where they trying to get to, and we trying to get to them, so this is definitely a camaraderie and kinship.
Does it really like almost make the NFL dream seem like way more of a reality when you see what Callaway and Johnson and Deontay are doing out there on the practice field?
Oh, for sure. So, it's just like, you know what I'm saying, just looking up to them every day is like, man, like, I wish, I'm gonna get there one day. I see what they're doing, and I'm just learning off of them, feeding off of them. They feeding off of me, and what I do, and we learning off each other. So, it's just good energy going around with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. Good luck.
Cool is it to be part of this receiver room that has so many of these undrafted guys playing big roles? And I think, I can't remember who told us the other day that you made a comment on that, but they kind of inspired by your story too.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't, to be honest with you, I knew a couple of them were drafted, and then, when I got here, I started to learn a couple more of their stories and where they came from and where they started. I love it. Those guys are, not that drafted guys aren't hungry, but the undrafted guys, they got something to prove every single year, and they came into this league, had to earn a roster spot, really had to grind that out, and to be in that room, you can tell there's a bunch of guys that are hungry and eager to make a name for themselves. A lot of young guys that want to win and do the right thing. So it's been we have a really good group, and it's fun. It's been a fun experience to be a part of that.
And I know it's partly because of injury, but how rare is it from camps you've been in, with like Marquez Callaway, Juwan Johnson, two guys who just got here last year, are lining up with the ones and getting as many big
Yeah, I
plays?
mean, but that's the nature of the NFL. You never know what's going to happen, and injuries happen, and guys, it's kind of like that next man up mentality. And you get into training camp, you can't really just bring in guys that are can be number one receivers. So guys got to step up, and Marquez, LJ, I mean Deontay, all those guys are stepping up, and I think they're eager to be that guy. To do whatever it takes to help the team win and try to make as many plays and take advantage of the opportunities that they get. So, we're out here just working to get better. I think it's going to be fun. It's been awesome working with them during camp so far.
What do you think is what stands out to you about Marquez? When you're looking at him as a teammate, football player, first thing that comes to your mind?
Never has a bad day. It seems like.
Yeah.
I think. When we're in the meeting rooms and we're on the field, you can tell that he takes this thing very seriously. But to me, it seems like he's got a very short-term memory, which is something that I think gets lost a little bit in those good receivers, because you're gonna have a a time where you drop a pass or, the route might not have been great. And it just doesn't seem to affect Marquez. He just kind of moves on and goes on to the next play, and then bang, he's making a play down the field. And I think that's pretty special about a guy, especially for undrafted guys. I've seen a lot of guys that, you can, especially during training camp when you only see so many balls during training camp, it's tough to, compartmentalize like, dang, like I just missed an opportunity. Like, what's everyone thinking? He just moves on. And he keeps grinding it out, and he's making plays down the field, and he's working tirelessly at his craft. So it's been fun to be in that room with him.
And short-term memory is not like a literal thing. That's a confidence thing, right?
It's a confidence thing,
yeah.
100%. I mean, I think listen, you get into practices or you get into games. Like, listen, these corners get paid too. There's going to be plays where they break up a pass, or you just, you drop one. It's going to happen, but being able to move on and just forgetting about it right away and going out there and when that next opportunity comes, making the most of it.
How do you approach this after so many years, talking about those young guys that don't know yet? But still fighting for a roster spot.
Yeah.
Is your mindset the same as when you were day one, or has it changed and morphed in some way?
No, I think for me personally, and obviously only getting here just about a week ago, I'm really just, this is an opportunity that I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm just trying to hold myself as accountable as I can to learning the offense and going out there in whatever position that they want to put me in. I just want to go out there and be able to do the right thing. And if I'm able to make some plays and just catch the football, I think that makes a big difference. But also try to be a leader in that room with a bunch of guys that were like me, that were undrafted guys and fighting to earn roster spots. And so me coming here, I have that same mentality that those guys have. That mentality has never left me. That's really, I think that's part of the reason why I think I've been able to last so much in this, so long in this league, is I've never taken anything for granted. And to be out here every single day, every practice, every game, every season, it's an amazing opportunity to be out here, and it's a privilege to play in this league, and never take a day for granted.
How good have you felt? I know injuries took a toll the last couple of years.
Felt pretty good, to be honest. Even playing lacrosse really, it kept me in great shape, obviously, and I wasn't getting tackled. It's still a very physical sport, but I think just staying active and playing that sport out, coming here and the cutting and all that kind of stuff, I think that really prepared me for going into a training camp. It was unexpected. I didn't know if this was even going to happen, but I'm very happy that I was doing that, so that it definitely prepared me for as much as I could going into a training camp like this.
With those young guys, you said you have a similar mindset to them, but how much pride do you take in knowing that you're the guy that they can come to with questions and be the leader that they can look to?
Honestly, I love it. I embrace all those guys when they want to ask me questions about different routes and how to see coverages, and because I love this game, and I've put so much work in and studying this game and defenses and how to do this, because I had to be technical with everything that I had, everything that I did in route running, and I had to be as perfect as I could be. So I love talking to these guys about all different types of routes and releases, or how to do this and how to do that, because at the end of the day, we all love this sport. So being able to kind of talk about that and help guys out in whatever way I can is it's a lot of fun for me, and it's a way for me to be that leader and give back to these young guys and try to help them with their process and their game.
Who guided you when you first came into the league?
Oh man, I had a lot of guys. The guys that come to mind, specifically, when I first started, Stevie Johnson was a guy that I asked a ton of questions about too when I was in Buffalo. Another guy when I was in Miami, Devon Best, he played for a while, and he was another guy that I would ask a ton of questions to. And obviously, when I got to New England, my knowledge of football just went through the roof. Talking to 12, being a part of that offense and being with Coach Belichick and Jules and Danny and those guys, because they had been around the game for a while, and I thought I knew a lot about football, and when I got there, I feel like I didn't know a lot about football, but it was awesome for me to learn from them, and that helped me in my game tremendously with all of those guys.
From a technical aspect, how would you describe Deontay Harris' route running?
Fast,
Yeah.
explosive, in and out of his breaks really quickly. Got a good feel for those over routes and escapes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's in the slot. I mean, he could play outside. I mean, he's been fun to watch, to be honest with you. I mean, he's can get down, he can stretch the field, and he's even for a smaller guy, like he doesn't play like that. Thank you.
We
have you stop Winston now, guys.
Hey, you want to walk us through the big play today?
I had a post, and I seen Jameis step up, and I knew I had to kick into like second gear. I just put my head down, and I thought it was out of reach at first, and I just stretched my hands out, and thankfully it fell in there. I just had to secure it on the impact coming down.
I thought it was out of reach too. Like,
yeah, no, I did too.
It was like full extension.
Yeah, for sure.
How good does a play like that feel in a setting like this?
It feels good. From day to day, you're just trying to get better. You're just trying to take a step forward every day. Some days might not be the best, but you just got to have that next play mentality. So every play, whether it's good or bad, I'm trying to do better than the last. So that's what that was.
Where does that catch rank out of all the catches you've ever made?
I don't know, but it's up there. I made a few ones like that in the past, but it's definitely up there. I wouldn't know where to rank it right now, though.
Overall, how do you just feel like your camp's going and everything that you've been able to do so far?
I feel like it's going well. It's a lot of things I definitely need to work on. Talking to coaches and just what they want to see from me. So, like I said, every day I'm just trying to take a step forward. But I think it's going pretty well. I'm making strides.
Just the learning process of the offense. How have you been able to grasp everything? I know it's pretty expensive.
I'm trying, man. I'm playing YF and Z. Pretty much everything. Coach tells us that we need to know everything. So I'm studying my butt off every night, just trying to make sure I'm prepared come that next day. So.
How excited are you for a preseason game?
I'm very excited, man. Last year with COVID and everything, preseason, so I was kind of bummed about that. But knowing Saturday, now I'll be able to suit up. It's a dream come true, and I know it's going to hit me even harder when I get to Baltimore.
Jameis referred to you as Cousin Aesop when he was talking to us. Is that like a joke with y'all?
Yeah, that's a joke. When I first met him, Winston, he was calling me Cuzzo, and I'm like, let's run with it then. But I don't know for sure if he's actual blood, but I'm gonna run with it.
on that line, Jameis can rip it a little bit, Danny. Have you played with quarterbacks that can throw and describe sort of from your standpoint what he does?
He has a strong arm, and he likes to throw it deep, and that's what we love about him in the receiver room. We know, whether you got a post, just a go or anything deep, you got to run it full speed because Jameis could throw it out there any moment. You saw today, so I was like, okay, he ripped it. I got to go get it. So, yeah, he has a big arm, very smart. He takes the game very serious, studies a lot outside of the facility and everything, and he's just a great guy all around.
Would you say he throws a nice deep ball?
Oh, for sure, no doubt, for sure, very nice.
Is playing in like a Mike Leach offense in college, does that translate well to the pros you feel like? Yeah, we do a lot. We throw the ball a lot, so that's what I come from. That's what I'm used to. So just being able to line up in different places, just helps me even more.
How far do you think that pass went through the air this morning? Like 50 yards?
I don't know. I just know I was running for a while to catch up to that. So I don't know, 50, 60, I don't even know. I just knew I had to get to it.
Yeah, I guess we would have a better vantage point. You never know.
Yeah.
Trying to catch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you feel like it was just never going to come down?
It felt like that, man. And I was just like,
I don't know. I just felt like I was in the facility by myself, like trying to run and go get it. It was like nothing but silence while the ball's in there. I'm like, what the heck? So I just had to go get it. So thankfully I was able to come down. No problem. Thank you, guys.